notice how toddlers never say yes? They say no to broccoli, no to bedtime, no to pants. They have complete clarity. But you and me, we're grown adults running complex organizations, and so often we say yes to stuff that we'll resent before it even hits the calendar. Somewhere along the way, you lost your no. If that sounds like what you're dealing with, let's call out the so-called rules that aren't serving you. Rules we all take for granted as necessary, and see what it looks like to replace them with boundaries that actually help you grow and scale your business. I'm Trisha Shortino. I'm the CEO of Belay, America's leader in fractional staffing, and I've learned to protect my time like the precious resource it is, but I didn't always. Early in my career, I thought the best way to lead was to be accessible, to keep moving things forward, step in where needed. And it worked until it didn't, because I found that helpful can quietly erode your capacity if you don't define it. So let's start with the rule that most leaders don't question soon enough. Rule number 1, be nice. The first made-up rule of leadership, be nice. What it sounds like? I don't want to come off as harsh. I should probably just handle it myself. But here's the real cost. When your default is to accommodate, to be helpful, your calendar fills with commitments that drain your focus, and slowly you stop doing the work that only you can do. I didn't stop helping because I stopped caring. I stopped jumping in to help because I started leading with clarity. You can be helpful, you can be accessible, but you cannot run a business or your life when you drop your priorities to help someone else own theirs. New boundary? Be kind, be direct, but above all, be clear. No, thank you is a complete sentence. So is, I can't help with that. And in many cases, it's more respectful than a hesitant yes followed by stress, delay, and frustration. Because that yes, it doesn't just cost you energy, it erodes trust, it muddles expectations, and it delays the inevitable. If you want to lead well, you want to build something that runs clean, start here. Say no early, cleanly, and without apology. Then move forward guilt-free. There was a season when I said yes to everything. Out of guilt, out of obligation, out of wanting to be a good leader or a good mom or a good friend. And I remember one night sitting at my laptop after dinner, trying to finish something that wasn't urgent, and my daughter looked at me and asked, "When are you going to be done working?" Not just that night, but working all the time. And that was my wake-up call. I said yes to something at work just to be nice. It wasn't aligned, it wasn't necessary, but I didn't want to disappoint anyone. And that single yes, it cost me connection at home, presence, and peace. The truth is, every yes has a cost. And if you're not careful, it's your people who will pay. Now, I still say yes, but only when it aligns with my values, my priorities, and the kind of life I actually want. Because if being nice costs you what matters most, it's not kindness, it's self-abandonment. Rule number 2, be helpful. Here's what it sounds like. I'll just handle it, it's faster. I don't want to be a burden. They've got a lot going on, so I'll take care of it for them. And on paper, it looks like you're being a team player, right? In practice, you're just making yourself the catch-all. Again, I used to do this constantly. At home, I was still packing lunches for my teenagers because it was easier than nagging them. At work, I was pulling my own reports instead of asking for support because I didn't want to seem difficult or demanding. It felt efficient, helpful even. But what I was really doing was trying to control the outcome by controlling the process. And in the end, everyone else was controlling me. So what did I do? I did what Mel Robbins says to do. I let them slowly, let them forget, let them learn the hard way, let them take ownership, let them learn to deal with their drama, opinions, and consequences, and let them turn into leaders. Because every time I stepped in, I was robbing them of that. Running a business or nonprofit isn't about catching everything before it falls. It's about building people who can stand on their own, even when it's a little messy at first. If I'm always the solution, then I'm also the ceiling. So now when my team asks, "Do you want me to pull the report?" I say yes. When my grown kids forget their lunch, they'll figure it out. That's not neglect, that's leadership. The new standard, don't just ask, "Can I do it?" Ask, what happens if I don't? Because the answer will be, they'll finally step up. There was a moment early in my leadership when I learned the value of pulling back. I was heavily involved in key projects, trying to control every little detail, make every decision, and making sure everything went according to my vision. I stepped in constantly, suggesting tweaks, thinking I was being helpful, but I was interfering. I realized I was slowing things down. I was limiting the team's ability to take ownership. I decided to step back and trust the team more. I stopped micromanaging and I let them make decisions and solve problems problems on their own, and watching them succeed without me in the middle was eye-opening. It felt freeing for them and for me, and it forced my leadership to a new level. It was a humbling experience, and the success of the project proved that sometimes less is more. Rule number 3. Be available. The next rule, be available, it sounds like just loop me in. Send me a quick message, I'll be around. The problem? You're always around, and you're actually never fully present. I used to wear my responsiveness like a badge, but being always on at work made me half there at home, and eventually, everywhere started to feel thin. Your attention is finite. If everyone gets a piece, no one gets the whole. The new boundary? Be intentionally unavailable and make it known. Block your calendar, not just for meetings, but for thinking, building, or recharging. Label it, communicate it, and protect it. That is a strategy block. I'll be offline until noon. I don't check Slack on the weekends. That's recharge time. If your team doesn't know when you're unavailable, they'll assume you're always on. And if you're always on, you're not doing your best. You're just staying busy and doing their work. I was at dinner with my family, pizza night, my daughter's favorite. She was halfway through telling me about her day, and then something about some science project and some kid named Mason when I glanced at my phone. Just a quick check, just one email, except it wasn't just one. It never is, and it never was. I responded, I answered a follow-up, I fired off a note to my assistant. When I looked up, my daughter stopped talking. She wasn't mad, she just moved on quietly. And that moment hit me pretty hard, because I was there, but I wasn't really there with her. And the worst part is that it wasn't rare, it was routine. Always available for work, never fully present at home. So I made a shift. I started blocking my calendar, not just for strategy, but for the sacred dinner time, bedtime, Saturday walks, phone away, notifications off. And I told my team, if I'm off, and I'll be back and better on Monday. Because the truth is, you can be accessible to everyone, or you can be fully present for the people who matter most, but you can't be both. So my challenge to you is find your no again. Every no you say makes space for a better yes. The kind of yeses that lead to more growth, more clarity, and more security. At Belay, we help leaders like you get the right people in place so you can stop saying yes to everything and start leading like you mean it. Download Delegate to Elevate, my free guide to help you offload the right work, clarify your priorities, and build a system that protects your time before it disappears. If you're ready to stop reacting and start leading, this is your next step. Hit the link in the description and let's get started.